Hey Miles, how you feeling today? I'm feeling slightly better. It's 50-50. Good to see you, Carrie. How you doing? How you been? How's things? What's up, Miles? What's up, CMF? Let's go, Carrie. Hello, Miles. Hope you're feeling better. T, doing okay. How you doing, T? How's things? Hello, brother Miles. Hope you're doing better today. Comatous, thank you so much as well. I'm doing better. How you feeling? How you doing? Lee Robinson, evening, Miles. Good to see you as well. How you doing, Lee Robinson? Good evening, Miles and CMF. Ring Faber. Good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Happy Pisces. Good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Hi, Miles. Good to see you again. Autistic. Good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Even Miles of CMF. Manny. Good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? ACH pumped today. It did, due to the Australian licensing essentially it got, but it was mostly a 15 minutes of fame for ACH before it essentially goes slightly back down again. But ACH did pump today, yeah. Hi, Miles. Tell us some good news. The internet has been going crazy with BTC versus XRP. It's true. There's a war going on right now between essentially XRP versus Bitcoin on X. And it's because the Bitcoin maxis don't want XRP reserves inside the United States, and they only want Bitcoin reserves. And the XRP people want, a crypto reserve for the United States, which has always made a lot more sense to me, having a crypto reserve instead. But the Bitcoin maxis are not happy in any sort of a way. But who cares about the Bitcoin maxis, to be preferably honest? It's about what's best for the country of the United States, or essentially a world reserve asset. ACH had a nice day. It did, definitely. Hi, Miles, the CMF. Dennis, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Hi, Miles. Shark, good to see you. How you doing, Shark? How you been? Good evening, Miles and all, and CMF. JP, good to see you, brother. How you doing? How you been? Hey, brother, how was your weekend? Mickey, was good. How was your weekend, brother? Hi, Miles and CMF. Pablo, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Rumors that the SEC case is over. There are rumors that the SEC case is over. In hindsight, technically is. I mean, the SEC is no longer going to be continuing these back and forward with essentially Ripple or Coinbase and so on. All these cases are just pretty much obsolete due to the new SEC chairman, which is Mark, and acting chairman, and also due to the Hester Pierce being the crypto task force for the SEC. All of these cases are pretty much obsolete in any case. So it's, you could say it's a rumor, but in reality, it technically is. All these cases are over very soon. G, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Sir Miles, hello, good sir. Crypto, good to see you. How you doing? How you been, Crypto Cowboy? Good evening, Miles, and hope you're doing well. Kenny, I'm doing better. Good to see you. How you doing? Hello, bro. Good to see you. How you doing, Circle? X is so funny with Bitcoin on XRP. They are not happy. They definitely aren't happy. Regarding the Bitcoin maxis, they are hating on XRP. Whereas the XRP community is a bit more welcoming towards every asset becoming a crypto portfolio. Whereas the Bitcoin maxis only want Bitcoin reserves for their own benefit, to be fairly honest. Hello, Miles and family. How you doing? Troy, I'm doing great. How you doing? So let's do, and I'm actually happy to be back, even though I'm not, fully good, but I can do, I want to power through. I want to do the live, and I miss doing the live. So, even if I am slightly a bit ill, I'm going to do the live either way because I miss doing it. Missed all of you as well. So, welcome to episode 249 of the CMF Live. And the CMF stands for Crypto Miles Family. And my name is Miles. I go by the persona of Crypto Miles. I'm the host of this live, Monday to Friday, 11:25 p.m. UK time onwards, where I talk about the most recent news that's happening around the world on this live in terms of cryptocurrency news, CBDC news, AI, politics, legislations, and so on. And if you want to be informed the most vital information what's happening around the world, regarding the world completely transforming into a digital space, tune to this live Monday to Friday, 11:25 p.m. UK time onwards. And we also do Q&As on this live as well, which means if you do have any questions, put it down in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. And the disclaimer of this live, as always, is not financial advice, not political advice, and whatever I say is only for entertainment purposes. Now, let me give you a breakdown of what we're going to be talking about on tonight's live, because a lot of things have essentially happened in the past few days inside the crypto space, especially one of the biggest ones being in today's, essentially with the market dump, was DeepSeek, which is the Chinese equivalent of ChatGPT, which just shows that China can build a much more faster and cheaper, AI tool compared to essentially the United States, where they're spending billions of dollars. Now, one thing you need to know about this whole DeepSeek, essentially AI, ChatGPT replica, is that we don't really know if the Chinese spent 5.5 million. Everybody's throwing this thing around where they're saying, essentially China created a ChatGPT replica for 5.5 million or 6 million or something. Nobody has confirmed if China's actually spent $6 million on building their AI system. As far as we know, China could have spent hundreds of billions of dollars. We don't know. Even Bloomberg came out essentially and said the exact same thing today, where they said, we haven't confirmed if China has actually spent 5.5 million. They're basically just taking the Chinese government's word on the subject of, yeah, sure, they've spent 5.5 million. They haven't confirmed in any sort of a way, just to put that out as well. Now, let me give you a breakdown of what we're going to be talking about on tonight's live. And DeepSeek essentially is one of the topics on tonight's live. We're going to be talking about the US crypto Caesar, essentially regarding David Sachs and how he's been appointed by Donald Trump. He's going to bring all this positivity inside the crypto space. We're also going to be talking about the latest on the DeepSeek essentially crisis that bled into the stock market, then bled into the crypto markets, which dumped the crypto markets. Then we're also going to be talking about tonight's live regarding essentially China spending another $137.5 billion for their AI race. Now, again, the subject of China's AI technology, even though China claims 5.5 million is all they spent on building DeepSeek, but China's budget for their AI essentially category is actually $137.5 billion. But the news isn't telling people that. The news is saying China is building AI tools for $5 million, but their budget is actually $137 billion, because they make fun of the United States having a budget of $500 billion, but China has a budget of $1 billion as well, over $100 billion, to be fairly honest. The Bank of, we're also going to be talking about essentially on tonight's live regarding, Standard Chartered Bank coming out and giving their perspectives on the market space right now. A lot of people might be trying to panic sell in situations like this, but what you have to understand is that we just had the United States president essentially sign an executive order where it's stated that the United States is going to become the capital of cryptocurrencies. It's going to be essentially creating this crypto reserve. It's going to bring out regulations. We also had the SAB one essentially lifted as well, and so on. So all this is all positivity for the crypto space. So people who are trying to panic sell, maybe not the best idea. Now, we're going to be talking about Standard Chartered Bank's perspective on the matter of what you should be doing right now in this moment in time. We're also going to be talking about MicroStrategy on tonight's live as well. Michael Saylor is going to be spending more money to acquire more Bitcoin at these cheap prices. We're also going to be talking about the CFTC on tonight's live as well, regarding the CFTC coming together to do a crypto meeting in terms of regulations and policies, similar to what the SEC did, but we still haven't got the results from the SEC. We're also going to be talking about on tonight's live regarding Elon Musk essentially reportedly advocating for blockchain integration essentially at the Department of Government Efficiencies. We're also going to be talking about on tonight's live regarding the matters of France. France has introduced a new tax law for cryptocurrencies. If you are somebody that lives in France or lives in the EU, this could be something that could possibly happen for you. We're also going to talk about on tonight's live regarding the Trump executive order on digital assets in terms of a perspective coming out of Citibank's analyst. We're also going to talk about tonight's live regarding the matters of Ripple's CTO coming out and going against the Bitcoin maxis and putting it to bed pretty much. We're also going to talk about tonight's live regarding the matters of Ripple's future and XRP's future, and what's coming up next in 2025. We're also going to be talking about tonight's live regarding other Ripple matters as well towards the end of the live. But before we go for any of those news topics, the first topic we are going to be covering is regarding DeepSeek, essentially. DeepSeek essentially being the one that dumped the crypto markets on tonight's live. Now, before I go through any news topics, I just want to say to everyone, thank you so much to everybody that retweeted this live, because I get notifications. Thanks so much to everyone that retweeted this live on X. Thanks so much to everybody that put a comment outside the live and hashtag the XRP on me or XRP in general. And thanks so much to everyone who liked this live on X. And thanks so much to everyone on YouTube who's also liked this live and put a comment outside the video as well. Now, the first news we are going to be going through on tonight's live is regarding DeepSeek. But before we go through it, let's go inside the comment section first, and then we go straight into the first news. So let's see where we're at. We were at here inside the comment section. Hello, Miles and family. How you doing? I'm doing good. Troy, good to see you. Well, how you doing? Miles, is ACH a good now partner with Australia? ACH getting a license in Australia is great, absolutely amazing, but it's more like 15 minutes of fame. By tomorrow, that license will be old news. Miles, what can 100,000 XDC do for someone holding it? It could do incredible wonders. The longer you hold it, the better you are. Not financial advice in any sort of a way. Morning, Miles and CMF. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Doing a bit better. Good to see you, well, someone. How you doing? Alex, hi, Miles and family. Good to see you as well. Alex, how you doing? How you been? Missed you. Let's go, JP. Missed you as well, brother. Money, DNT, by brains. If everybody could comment outside the live to grow the family, that would be wonderful. Absolutely amazing. Yes, definitely. If you haven't got a chance, do it now and put a comment outside the live and retweet, like, and comment and share on X. Good evening, Miles and CMF. How are you feeling? Better? Or if I'm doing better, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Hello, Miles. Richard, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Well, they can do it for cheap when they take all their data from other here in the US law. True. How are you feeling today, Miles? How's everyone in the CMF? I'm feeling a bit better. Good to see you as well. How you doing? Negative. I'm buying more XCN. Mr. M, good luck on that one. Hope it works out for you. Hello, Miles and CMF. Mav, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Good evening, brother Miles, and good evening, CMF. Funky brother, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? What's the point of tokenizing the stock market if they can just buy a stock of a company? Isn't that stock basically a token? No. And when you're buying a stock, you're buying a company share. You're not technically buying a token. A token can only be, something that's a word that could be used for the crypto space, market space, not for the stock market necessarily. Now, when you tokenize the stock market, you actually make essentially the stock market more transparent and much more easier to borrow against your assets if you want to do that and so on. But there's so many positives with tokenizing the stock market and also bringing more liquidity to the play as well. How's it going, Miles? Zach, good to see you. So how you doing? How you been? Oh my God, I didn't even know if you would have a live tonight. I hope you're well. Funky brother, let's go. I'm doing a bit better. Even Miles and CMF, hope you're feeling better. Pierce, let's go. Feeling a bit better. Miles, you should be resting. Yes, I should be resting, but I missed doing the live, so I really wanted to do live. Miles, what price can XDC reach part of XRP and others in the bull run? XDC can do incredible price points. Essentially, it's going to do well on the regulations because it has the right amount of licensing. It's being in, some sort of test phases through R3 Corda with the Bank of International Settlements and so on. Good evening, Miles, and chat from the USA. Let's go, Burberry. Good to see you. How you doing? Now, I've seen Trump sign an executive order against CBDCs. It's true, yes, Trump has signed an order against CBDCs, but he is also in that same order, executive order, is written that he's in favor of private stablecoins, which is another way of saying CBDCs. And also, if we have CBDCs or if we don't have CBDCs, even though we are going to be having CBDCs, XRP will still be used as a medium of payment. Given its economic and technological achievements, is it wise to undermine China? Is it wise to undermine China? Yes. Not in a sense, but look, China will never be able to catch up to the United States in any sort of a way. But the interesting part of DeepSeek that came out today. So the news about DeepSeek coming out today, dumping the entire market space. You know what news also came out today at the exact same time, which got overshadowed by China's big news on AI technology? So as you know, Trump signed multiple executive orders. One of those executive orders was for the whole COVID situation on who caused COVID. So it turns out one of the executive orders that essentially Donald Trump signed was released today, the information on who released COVID. Turns out there was a lab in China that released COVID, and that COVID just didn't happen from how they described it day one. It was actually planted by China to be released to the worldwide on a worldwide basis. That information came out today at the exact same time DeepSeek and essentially AI news came out and dumped the entire stock market and dumped slightly on the crypto markets as well. So when everybody was focused today on the stock markets and essentially the crypto markets, today was the exact same day essentially the United States released information that China was behind COVID from day one because it was released from a Chinese lab. That China essentially, during Trump's presidency, to bring down the market space so Trump can't have a good thriving America, China released COVID, which it's crazy to think about it, but it's true. They released it from a lab. That's the information that came out today. But that news is being overshadowed by the DeepSeek AI ChatGPT replica from China. It's crazy how things work. Any idea? So regarding, given its economic and technological advancements, is it wise to undermine China? The US will always be number one, no matter what. And China can play their games and their tricks and move around deadlines so they can overshadow some specific news articles, but they'll never be number one. As much as they try, they'll never be number one. Their currency will never be number one. Their technology will never be number one. And the US will always lead. I'm not being biased in any sort of ways. What I'm trying to say is China's more like copy and paste when it comes to technology. And the timing of the DeepSeek news coming out today is crazy. Why is there so much hype for XAN? It's not the utility. It's due to one of their partnerships is where all the hype is coming from, essentially. Do you think tokenization will come this year because BlackRock CEO said he wants it to happen? Yes, in a sense, yes. Tokenization should be happening this year in a sense, up to a certain extent. And we're going to get regulations this year happening. So tokenization will be much more easier for it to happen. And also banks being able to get involved inside the crypto space. Hello, CMF. I hope you had a good day. Scott, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Hello, Miles. I've been waiting until you were finished. How you feeling? You need to rest, my friend. I need to rest a bit. Yes, true. But I really want to do the live. But good to see you, Scott. How you doing? Is XDC a tokenization project, and what's your top 5 cryptos who will benefit from the tokenization in your opinion? Crypto projects that are good at tokenization, for example, Ethereum is good at tokenization without a doubt. XRP is great at tokenization as well. XDC can have tokenization capabilities. XLM can do also tokenization as well. AVEX can do tokenization, is doing on subnet green is what they're testing on. Those are crypto projects that I would say really look into. For tokenization, I mean, XRP can take the ranks as well, to be fairly honest. It's amazing the timing. Yeah, regarding China's, labs and that. Is it true that President Trump has stopped the introduction of CBDCs, and what does this mean for the crypto space? President Trump has signed an executive order recently that essentially says ban on CBDCs. Now, does that mean that CBDCs will never happen inside the United States? No. What it actually says inside that executive order, it does mention the word stable, essentially private stable coins. And also on the matter of CBDCs, it's going to be happening in any sense in the United States. And the words can be changed around. Now, if you're wondering to yourself, if CBDCs don't happen inside the United States, does that mean XRP won't be used as a medium of payment? No. XRP can still be used as a medium of payment if CBDCs exist or don't exist. But in reality, CBDCs are going to exist. 98% of centralized banks are already coming into CBDCs. So the United States will never try to fall behind. They're obviously in most cases going to try to catch up is what they're doing right now. So CBDCs will happen no matter what. Even if Trump has signed an executive order to ban CBDCs, they'll just change about, or they'll introduce wholesale CBDCs first, get the banks coming in, and then go into retail CBDCs next. But they'll never be able to fully ban CBDCs in any sort of a way. And also, if CBDCs do exist or don't exist, XRP will still be used as a medium of payment as well. Hi, brother. Hope you're feeling better. Kamal, I'm feeling great. Good to see how you're doing. Not great, but I feel actually 50-50 to be honest. If I had XDC 100,000, how can I expect to be rich from this? If you hold it long enough, you could be. No financial advice in this sort of way. You sound good, Miles. Thank you, Pisces. Even Miles is CMF. Joe, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Now, do you have any idea why ACH went up 104% today? I do. It's because of Australia. They got some sort of licensing in Australia from Austria, essentially, and they can do off ramps and on ramps in Australia in terms of payments now, ACH and so on. But it's only 15 minutes of fame. ACH should be back down again tomorrow or the day after. Miles, I think the markets will dump this week as the economic calendar shows too many reports coming out this week. Jerome Powell interest rates. It is true, Jerome Powell's interest rates are coming out this week as well. In most cases, Jerome Powell has never been positive for the crypto space. Once, to be fairly honest, there was one time when Jerome Powell was positive for the crypto space when he came out and said, he sees he said he's going to do rate cuts and that he sees, essentially crypto as, viable asset and so on. And then after that, he changed his tone. but for once in his life, he was positive for the crypto space. But in general, Jerome Powell is not really a positive member for the crypto space. He keeps on coming out and saying they're not going to be doing interest rates, and in reality, they have to do interest rates. Otherwise, the US will, go into a massive economic crisis bubble, which is the last thing we want. And Jerome Powell could be the person that causes that situation. So he has to do rate cuts no matter what. Could China, but not drastic rate cuts, because that will also lead to a bubble crisis, but essentially minimal rate cuts will do. And could China put shorts on Nevada, then release DeepSeek, then cash in as revenge? They can do whatever they want, to be fairly honest. China's AI essentially software got compromised today. It got hacked, and also it's very biased, just like ChatGPT is. To be fairly honest, ChatGPT is also slightly biased on the type of information you ask it to give it answers to. So, for example, ChatGPT struggles to answer specific names like Rothschild family members. DeepSeek, essentially, and China's AI equivalent of ChatGPT, is also a bit biased when you ask it questions about Taiwan. So, all of these AI tools are all biased, to be fairly honest. They're not really, freedom of speech chat tools. Could Australia bans everything vaping central? Yes, that's true. Now, evening, Miles and CMF peeps. Semper, good to see you. So how you doing? Evening, how you been? Now, let's go through the first news on tonight's live, which is, relative to what we've been speaking so far about, which is the Chinese version of ChatGPT and why the markets are down today and how things can play out a little bit later on. So, the US crypto essentially Sazar, which is the David Sachs, who's been appointed for, by Trump to move this whole crypto space ahead, speaks out about the latest DeepSeek crisis. David Sachs, who was appointed as the head of the artificial intelligence and cryptocurrencies by the United States President Trump in the US, he spoke about DeepSeek in crisis in terms of the originating from China. As known, a Chinese software company has launched a language model called DeepSeek and essentially declared it that it can keep its activities much lower than OpenAI and company behind ChatGPT. However, DeepSeek is thought to have a large stock of GPUs that cannot normally be sold to China due to US sanctions. With the sudden rise of DeepSeek, US technology companies' stocks prices crashed today, pulling the cryptocurrency market down with it. US cryptocurrency essentially Chief David Sachs said in a message he published on X that DeepSeek essentially indicates that the artificial intelligence race will be very competitive, and that Trump was proven right essentially by recently revoking presidential order blocking US artificial intelligence companies from working with China. David Sachs said he trusted the US on artificial intelligence, but they should not be complicit. DeepSeek, a Chinese AI startup company, has limited new signups to people with mainland China phone numbers, essentially following the surge in global interest, and that disrupted their essentially chatbot services. This new AI chatbot is much cheaper than those from companies like OpenAI, Meta, which have attracted a lot of attention worldwide. The application became one of the most downloaded apps on the Apple Store and the Android Store. However, the high demand led to outages, essentially with the longest one record since the company started essentially tracking their serviceabilities. Due to this issue, DeepSeek had to temporarily limit access to manage the pressure, and DeepSeek's AI models created for just $6 million are seen essentially as a challenge to big companies like ChatGPT-4. As a result, the market cap for AI coins fell by 7.66%, sparking some analysts essentially to suggest that this might be a good time to buy AI blockchain projects. DeepSeek's success is highlighting China's growing influence in the field of artificial intelligence. Even though China faces restrictions on advanced AI chips due to political essentially issues, DeepSeek was able to create a competitive chatbot using less powerful hardware. Meanwhile, the popularity of his chatbot has essentially caused a drop inside the markets for AI-related coins like Near, ICP, Render, and File, which lost around 8 to 10% of their essentially stats. Now, the company's efficient use of resources has sparked discussions about the global AI industry and the growing competition for essentially the US tech firms and China's tech firms. DeepSeek's low-cost approach stands in contrast to the huge investments made by American companies. For example, Meta plans to spend $65 billion on AI this year, and OpenAI's Sam Altman believes that the AI industry may need trillions of dollars for high demand, essentially computing infrastructure. DeepSeek's essentially success is challenging the traditional dominance of American tech companies in the AI space with pretty much a much more lower budget. But as I've said, in reality, DeepSeek doesn't have a low budget in any sort of a way. The budget that China has actually put aside for AI, essentially breakouts like DeepSeek, is $137 billion. But the news isn't telling you that. The news is telling you that China has created an AI tool for $6 billion with no proof. Second, China's budget for AI is not $5 or $6 million, it's $137.5 billion, which is more than what Meta is spending. But again, they're not telling you this on the news because it helps with the market space dumping, essentially, the short and liquidations and so on. But as I said also at the beginning of the live, what I'm mostly interested about is the timing of this AI chatbot coming out of China. Because today being the day where the executive order from Trump comes out and it shows that COVID was built in a lab, in a Chinese lab, and it was released from China on purpose, which is something that Biden wanted to hide from the rest of the world. But because of Trump signing an executive order, Biden's administration is obviously no longer in control and they can't hide that information for the rest of the world. So Trump signs an executive order, information comes out today that COVID was built in a lab in China and it was leaked and compromised the entire world. And that was what Biden's administration was trying to hide at the exact same time. But that's what came out today. The same day China releases DeepSeek, essentially AI tool, to the whole world, introduces it to the whole world, because it did come out in January, to be fairly honest, but they got updates along the way. But the timing is interesting. The day we find out China was the one that compromised the entire world on purpose is the exact same day they're releasing their AI tool, releasing to the whole world as an announcement. And one news gets overshadowed, as usual. Now, China spends also essentially on the topic of their real budget of AI. It's not $6 million. China's real budget on AI is $137.5 billion for the AI race. The Bank of China will allocate 1 trillion yuan, $137.5 billion, over the next 5 years to financially support AI companies, as stated essentially in the announcement from the organization. The institutions aim to strengthen the foundation for the artificial intelligence industry. The bank will support the construction of AI computing centers, essentially visiting the infrastructure. Financial protections such as property insurance will also be provided to enhance companies' abilities to manage risk. A special system has also been established to facilitate the integration and modernization of AI technologies and industrial resources. Funding essentially channels will also be open for key technological enterprises in capital markets. The Bank of China intends to support new directions such as the integration of artificial intelligence with robotics and economics and essentially manufacturing and other sectors essentially in China. The institution will also assist companies in expanding internationally. And in January, also Donald Trump that announced, the US will be having $500 billion to spend on the private sector investments for AI infrastructure. Experts expressed doubts about the feasibility of such a large-scale funding. Meanwhile, China's AI startup DeepSeek introduced a model that is better, cheaper, and essentially a competitor to the American essentially rivals, leading to a downturn of the market space on tonight's essentially on the market space in stock market and crypto. But yeah, China's real budget isn't $6 million. It's technically $137 billion, which is more than what Meta is spending on their AI tools, but less than what the United States can be spending in general, which is $500 billion. But this little downtrend we've had inside the market space isn't essentially something that's going to be lasting for too long. Now, obviously, we do have the Jerome Powell reports coming out as well. That's obviously going to have some volatility inside the market space as well. Regarding Jerome Powell's reports, they've never been positive for the crypto space. You never know. Jerome Powell can maybe come out and say we're going to do rate cuts, which he should be doing. But let's see how that one plays up on essentially this week. But this won't pass. This whole, China's DeepSeek AI, especially when the news actually comes up and states how much China spent, because it's not $5 million in any sort of a way. China did not spend $5.5 million building DeepSeek. Not one word of that do I believe in any sort of a way, because the timing of them releasing this announcement, DeepSeek AI and so on, today being the exact same day, essentially we find out China was the one that released COVID on purpose so they could crash the entire world market space when Trump takes his presidency the first time around. yeah, sure, I'm going to believe China when they come out today and say, essentially, we spent $5.5 million. They haven't shown any proof. And I'm not the only one that's saying this, and I'm not going down any sort of rabbit holes. Bloomberg, which is known to be gospel for Wall Street and the entire world market space, Bloomberg Business also came out today and said, we don't have any proof if China actually spent 5.5 million building this AI tool. They haven't shown us any proof. We're just taking their word for it. So when we do find out what China actually spent on this and, essentially what's actually behind it, yeah, the markets will recalibrate. Also, we do have good news coming out this week as well very soon, because Trump signed an executive order essentially, showing that, cryptocurrencies will become the capital, the United States will become the capital of cryptocurrencies and so on. All of that good news is still in play. We also have very soon coming out in terms of the SEC's closed door meeting as well, where the SEC had their crypto task force essentially closed door meeting talking about their cases and their regulations. There's a lot of positivity and progress though towards the United States playing that role of the capital of cryptocurrency. So this little news that came out of China on a very coordinated date of when the US was releasing their information on COVID, this is going to pass. And this is the perfect opportunity for you to, not my words, but the words of Standard Chartered Bank, buy the dip. Not even joking. Standard Chartered Bank came out today, analyst from Standard Chartered Bank, and said, buy the dip. Standard Chartered's Jeffrey Kendrick suggests purchasing Bitcoin during this essentially current slump. Now, what I would suggest instead is look at beyond essentially Bitcoin, but perspectives from essentially Standard Chartered Bank. Driven by his correlation with the NASDAQ, Jeffrey Kendrick views this essentially current Bitcoin downtrend as a strict buying opportunity before the market regains stability, which it is going to. Jeffrey essentially Kendrick's optimistic stance on Bitcoin underscores its resilience and market volatility and global economic uncertainty. Despite short-term price fluctuations, essentially, and shifting market sentiments, Bitcoin's inherent value proposition remains intact. Meanwhile, Kendrick's views reflects a long-term perspective, essentially emphasizing Bitcoin's potential to weather essentially economic storms. The cryptocurrency's decentralized nature and limited supply contributed to its appeal as a hedge against inflation. Similarly, Bitcoin's ability to essentially withstand market pressures and adapt to essentially changing conditions reinforces its value proposition. Now, I wouldn't really say Bitcoin essentially withstands market pressure because today was pressure and Bitcoin didn't really stand too well. Kendrick's optimism is also rooted in Bitcoin's fundamentals, which remain strong despite short-term market fluctuations. Recalls that Kendrick predicts that Bitcoin could reach price of highs $125,000 following essentially Donald Trump's presidency. Despite price volatility, analysts essentially remain bullish on Bitcoin's prospects and long-term probabilities. Several nations, including essentially El Salvador, have incorporated Bitcoin as a strict reserve asset, and institutional investors have been aggressively buying Bitcoin since December 2024, accumulating over 34,000 Bitcoins. This significant buying spree follows a major sell-off by institutional holders after Bitcoin's price peaked. On December essentially 17th, Bitcoin's price surpassed $108,000, triggering essentially a substantial sell-off by institutional investors. Wallets holding 1,000 to 10,000 BTC primarily essentially drove the sell-off, dumping essentially 79,000 BTC in a week, and the massive sell-off led to 15% essentially correction in Bitcoin's value, creating a buying opportunity for investors like MicroStrategy and so on. And notably, the cryptocurrency market continuously began this week as Bitcoin fell below $100,000 for the first time since January 16th. This decline essentially coincides with the growing macroeconomic concerns ahead of the Federal Open Market Committee meeting that's coming up this week. The fresh tech essentially sector distributions driven by DeepSeek's AI breakthrough also contribute to the market sell-off essentially sentiments, and additionally Bitcoin's price is being influenced by broader macroeconomic factors reflecting caution, trader sentiments, and market uncertainties. Upcoming essentially Federal Reserve announcements this week and fluctuating interest rates are adding to the uncertainty of the market space. However, Bitcoin's role as a store of value and its correlation with traditional markets remain topics of essentially discussion. Now, I know that essentially Standard Chartered Bank is saying, buy the dip, and they're referring to Bitcoin. Now, obviously, not financial advice in a sort of a way. This is essentially Standard Chartered Bank saying this. But what I would essentially say is buy the dip in general. Personal preference for myself. When I see the market space like this, I know this market space is guaranteed to go up. Not financial advice in any sort of way, but in my point of view, entertainment purposes only, this market, the cryptocurrency market, is guaranteed, in my point of view, to go up this year. Guaranteed, 1,000,000,000%. We have an executive order from Trump to make America the capital of cryptocurrencies, which is going to happen no matter what. We're going to have a crypto reserve inside the United States. We have a new SEC chairman with a crypto task force created overnight. We have a CFTC meeting happening. We're going to have cases dropped. We're going to have rules and regulations. The FIT 21 bill was passed. The SAB 121 was lifted, which means banks can work essential crypto companies. A lot of things are in progress. In my point of view, when you see a market space like this, you know what to do, because entertainment purposes only, not financial advice, this market space is guaranteed to go up this year, 1,000,000,000%. I'll take it further, 1,000,000,000,000%. But China can do whatever they want, especially releasing it on the exact day that the US releases their COVID updates. But yeah, they can do whatever they want. Bring the market space down for 1 or 2 days before it goes back up again. But we do have the committee meeting coming as well. Jerome Powell could, pull down the market space a little bit further down, or push it up slightly with coming out on the news on essentially stating we're going to be doing rate cuts, which is what should be happening inside the United States. We should be having rate cuts. So let's see how that comes out on the reports this week as well. That report could be good, which will reverse the market space, or it could be bad, bring it down a little bit more before it goes up. But it's going to go up in general, is what I'm trying to say. What goes down must come up for legitimate crypto assets, not for meme coins. Meme coins just go down, never come back up. Now, before we go through the next news on tonight's live, which is regarding MicroStrategy, let's go inside the comment section first, and then we go straight to the next news. So let's see where we're at inside the comment section. By the way, I've said, essentially that this is live, which means, if you do have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. And as always, I do read everybody's comments one by one, essentially, and give a response. So I read out your comment, and then your name, and then give you an answer. So, for example, Semper says, "Evening, peeps on CMF. Good to see you, Semper. How you doing?" Ronnie says, "Hi, Miles. Hope to see you feeling better." Ronnie, thank you so much, brother. Good to see you as well. How you doing, Ronnie? Absolute Knowledge says, "Your favorite top 4 ISO 222 coins." Technically, there's no crypto project that's an ISO, but they are compliant. So the ISO has a list of things that you should have to become a compliant asset. So if we're going to go on the basis of a compliant asset, XRP is a compliant asset of ISO. It's one of my favorites. XLM, XDC, even ACH, because it is compliant. But no, actually, no. XRP, XLM, XDC, and HBAR. All of these are compliant as an ISO project. Technically, no crypto project is ISO technically on the list, but the ISO has a requirement list, and if you fit that requirement list, you can become compliant. And we know they're going to become compliant anyways. But XRP, XLM, XDC, HBAR. Now, hello, Miles on CMF. Carol, good to see you. How you doing? How you been, Carol? Ronnie, have HBAR, but good to see you. Absolute Knowledge, how you been? Ronnie says, have HBAR and ICP done some sort of a deal together recently? I don't know if HBAR and ICP have done some sort of a deal together recently. I can take a look into it, Ronnie, for you and get back to you, no problem. Direct message, Ronnie, I'll take a look into it. Morning, Miles and CMF. Shelly, good to see you as well. How you doing? Morning. Let's see where we're at. Greetings, Miles and family. Hope all is well. Ray, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? How's things, brother? Respect, Miles. Mac, good to see you as well. How you doing, Mac? How you been? Maybe they spent that much on an upgrades. The 5.5 million that China is claiming they spent on their AI tool. Yeah, probably. Will ACH gain strength if it gets any licenses in the US or not? ACH technically has some licensings in the US, not all, but they have some licenses in the US as well. But it can gain strength, yes, definitely. Nightbox has a question. Nightbox, go for it. What's your question? What do you think the Ripple versus SEC lawsuit will be? When do I think the Ripple versus SEC lawsuit will be over? This year, and it should be very soon. This case should not be continuing on in any sort of a way. Ripple versus SEC, Coinbase versus SEC, Crypto.com versus SEC, or even MetaMask or Consensus versus all these legitimate, essentially blockchain companies, their cases should be coming to an end in terms of dismissal or settlements as soon as possible. Because I know for a fact the new SEC, acting chairman, which is Mark, is not going to be continuing these cases on any further. He said essentially himself he's not going to be doing that. And with a green light from Trump's administration, they even created a crypto task force, the moment Gary Gensler left. So, and also today there was news on Gary Gensler essentially saying he's apologizing for the cases he started essentially against all these crypto blockchain companies, which was a video that was released by David Schwartz. But this year, and it should be very soon, to be fairly honest, they shouldn't stretch it out any sort, because there's nothing to stretch out on these cases now. I panic brought. Let's go. And what do you think about XCN? XCN has been ripping through the charts without a doubt. For me, it's still not a must-have project, but if you are somebody that's in XCN and you're holding XCN and you've made a lot of money on XCN, I'm happy for you. Honestly, I'm happy for you. If you made a lot of money on XCN, good for you. If you believe in what XCN is going to be achieving, is going to be able to do it, then hold off for the end result, not financial advice in a sort of a way. But XCN, for me, it's not a must-have project, but it's a legitimate project in a sense. It's a legitimate project. It's not dodgy. It's not a meme. It's not a scam. No, nothing like that. It's a legitimate project. But for me, it's not a must-have project. What is a must-have project is financial projects for me. XRP, XLM, XDC, H4, and so on. They've been that financial list has always been number one for me since day one until now. But XCN, if it's making you money, I'm happy about it. Let's go. Good evening, all. Susie, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Is it true Ripple got a license in New York today? Yes, it is true. Ripple got a license in New York and Texas today, which we're going to go through on tonight's live a little bit later on. Now, MicroStrategy. As always, MicroStrategy is ready. Michael Saylor is so ready when Bitcoin drops just even slightly. And his recent purchase, MicroStrategy makes essentially a $1 billion Bitcoin purchase ahead of market correction. MicroStrategy co-founder Michael Saylor reported that he has invested $1.1 billion to acquire 10,107 Bitcoins. The cryptocurrency essentially was purchased, and following the announcements, Bitcoin's value dropped sharply. CoinGecko's data revealed that it has currently trading essentially approximately $100,700 after hitting a low of $98,380 earlier in the day. This acquisition brings the company's total Bitcoin holdings to $471,107, valued at over $47 billion. Since 2020, MicroStrategy has continued to purchase Bitcoin as a part of its continuous strategy. MicroStrategy made weekly Bitcoin purchases during its last 12 essential week periods, and through its Bitcoin acquisitions, MicroStrategy has spent $30.4 billion, paying $64,511 on average per Bitcoin. MicroStrategy has intact its business acquisition strategy for Bitcoin as its long-term plan to distribute Bitcoin-related shares on the NASDAQ. Bitcoin's trading volume surged 222% on Monday, reaching essentially $55.3 billion. The increased activity coincided with the market-wide drop, with Bitcoin losing essentially 8.67% from its January 20th all-time high of $108,000. The cryptocurrency is now trading just below $99,000, and essentially the Maelstrom fund CIO Arthur Hayes has also projected that Bitcoin could go possibly lower than what is standing now. In addition, the derivatives markets experienced forced liquidations essentially amounting to $850 million today. Through these decisive actions, MicroStrategy controlled debt essentially totals worth $1.05 billion related to his Bitcoin acquisition approach and investments. Due to his Bitcoin investments, MicroStrategy now holds the title of being the biggest corporate holder of Bitcoin assets. And in December, MicroStrategy joined the NASDAQ 100 index, aligning essentially with major companies like Apple and Microsoft and so on. Despite these milestones, MicroStrategy stock dropped 14% last week and 4% on Monday, and influenced by the broader market downturn attributed to the rise of China's AI model DeepSeek. Just want to point one thing out. If, and I mean if, we have a drastic drop on Bitcoin, if we have a drastic drop on Bitcoin, the first company that's going to be dumping their Bitcoins in the market space, just a heads up, it is going to be MicroStrategy. The reason why MicroStrategy is able to buy a tremendous amount of Bitcoin is because MicroStrategy keeps on getting loans against their own company, basically against their own stocks. And when they get loans, they use that loan to buy more Bitcoin. And then obviously when Bitcoin goes higher in value and so on, they're profiting and essentially borrowing more loans and so on and so on. So MicroStrategy is backed by so many loans, which when that time comes around, they have to pay that money back. Now, if Bitcoin has a drastic drop, the first company to sell off their Bitcoins is going to be MicroStrategy, which will most definitely dump the entire Bitcoin space and the crypto space, depending on what stage we're at. If we're in the stage of adoptions for cryptocurrency altcoins, then it's okay. But if we're not at that stage, then it will obviously impact the entire market space as well. But yeah, just a heads up, if we ever have a drastic drop on Bitcoin, the first company to dump on the market space will definitely be MicroStrategy. This is not FUD in any sort of way, but it's because if MicroStrategy doesn't dump their Bitcoin on the market space, or at least some of their Bitcoin, then they would have to go bankrupt because they own too much on those loans and they have to pay back the loans. If they don't pay back the loans, then they're going to be doing essentially a Chapter 15 or Section 15 on their company, or Chapter 11 on their company, which is basically bankruptcy or international bankruptcy. So just a heads up for anybody, essentially on that space. If you ever see the Bitcoin drastically drop, Michael Saylor is going to be the first one to dump on the Bitcoin space. The same man that's advocating Bitcoin, MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor breathes, sleeps, and eats Bitcoin. But he will be the first man to dump Bitcoin if anything hits the fan, because he has no choice. It's either his company goes bankrupt because he doesn't pay off the loans, or he sells Bitcoin to pay off the loans. But even though he might seem like he's the only one standing behind Bitcoin, he's also the first man to, run from Bitcoin. Now, before we go to the next news, let's go inside the comment section first, and then we'll go straight to the next news. As I said previously, this is live, which means if you do any questions, put it down in the comment section. More than happy to answer any questions you may have. Here with the calculator, my research of Link versus Flare, both Ocoros and Flare align with DeFi and dApps, and essentially Link versus Link, centralized through good partners. $1,000 in Link is 29 coins, 27,800 Flare coins. If both do a 10x, the net profit is only $65 difference. It's interesting when you start playing with the numbers. So the best to invest in one project you believe in versus splitting it. Facts. Yes, facts. If you have a small budget, for example, you preferably want to aim for max 3 projects. If you focus on these 3 projects weekly or monthly, adding to them, then you're better off than investing the 5 to 6 or 10 projects. But yeah, facts. It's all about the quantity on one project. Now, CFTC. So I revealed to everyone that the SEC was doing a closed door meeting, essentially, and I talked about what they're going to be talking in that meeting about. Now, we haven't got an update from the SEC's crypto task force on what they essentially discussed behind closed doors, but we know it was related to subjects to essentially regarding the cases that the SEC has pending and still going on, the appeal situations, and the regulations they still need to bring out. Now, we also had an update from the CFTC today, because Rostam Benham, the chairman of the CFTC, he also left as well. And we have an update from the CFTC. So CFTC's acting chairman, because he's now replacing Rostam Benham, announces a roundtable on crypto market structure. This is great to see, because the CFTC is also going to be helping the SEC this time around to come together and bring out the regulations much more faster inside the United States. Unlike before, where the SEC and essentially the CFTC were headbutting each other. Caroline, who is the acting chairman of the U.S. Commodities Futures Trading Commission, CFTC, has announced the agency will be holding a public roundtable discussion on market issues, including those related to digital assets. So in the case of the SEC having a closed-door meeting about what they're going to be doing moving forward with the new SEC and the pro-crypto SEC, the CFTC is not going to be doing a closed-door meeting. The CFTC wants to do a public type of event. In a notice that came out today, the CFTC said the commission would be scheduling a roundtable event over the next several months, essentially dealing with the conflicts of interest in prediction markets and digital assets. According to the acting chair, discussions would allow engagements with industry leaders and market participants. The CFTC will get back to essentially the basics, by hosting staff roundtables that will develop a robust administrative essentially record with studies, data, expert reports, and public input. Essentially said Caroline, a holistic essentially approach to evolving market trends will help to establish a clear rules for the road and safeguard that will promote the US as an economic growth and a powerhouse and make the American space more competitive. The announcement comes essentially less than a week after the CFTC commissioner voted for Caroline to be the regulator's acting chair following the essentially the United States presidency change and coming to Trump. Caroline has been serving as the CFTC commissioner since April 2022. It's unclear at the time of publication whom Trump intends to nominate as the essentially chairman of the CFTC. But the former CFTC chair, Rostam Benham, who stepped down from his position on January 20th, this exact same day that Trump essentially took his seat, will essentially remain commissioner until February 7th. In one of these essentially final statements, as the head of the regulator, he urged essentially the policymakers to address crypto's regulatory gaps and essentially to bring out the regulations. The CFTC's authority to essentially regulate crypto should the US lawmakers in Congress move forward with legislations to differentiate how the agency and the Securities and Exchange Commission handle digital assets. One of the proposed market structures and bills, the Financial Innovation and Technology essentially for the 21st century, the FIT21 bill, passed the House of Representatives in May, obviously 2024, and is expected to go essentially to the Senate for a vote. Now, Trump's nominated former SEC Commissioner Paul Atkins to replace Gary Gensler as the chair of commission, which had 3 out of the 5 members serving at the time of publications. Until Atkins sent essentially nomination hearing and potential confirmation, SEC Commissioner Mark will obviously be the acting chairman for the time being. But in all bases, essentially, the CFTC is about to be having an open meeting, very public, very transparent, regarding the discussing the matters of essentially regulations, how we're going to move things ahead, how we're going to do things going ahead inside the United States, trying to make the United States the capital of cryptocurrencies. So while the SEC is doing a closed door meeting, and we don't know what still's happening, but we know it's going to be positive either way, because Hester Pierce, as the crypto task force for the SEC, is positive. She's pro-crypto. She's always been pro-crypto. She's attended pro-crypto rallies. Mark, also being the acting chairman of the SEC, is also pro-crypto. So we know something pro-crypto is going to come out of that, but it was a closed door meeting. This one, public. CFTC is doing a public one instead. So this one could be interesting to see. And I'll definitely be updating everyone on this live regarding what the CFTC has come up with. And if I do get any sort of updates regarding the SEC on the closed door meeting, obviously I'll reveal it as ASAP as well on this live as well. Now, moving on essentially from the CFTC's open door, public meeting on regulations and policies to Elon Musk. Elon Musk, as you know, created the DOGE, essentially government department, which essentially stands for the Department of Government Efficiency. So Elon Musk has reportedly advocated for blockchain integration into the essentially Department of Government Efficiencies to bring more transparency. Elon Musk, appointed by Donald Trump essentially to lead the Department of Government Efficiencies, is advocating for the integration of blockchain technology to enhance operational efficiency within the federal government. Musk reportedly proposed leveraging a digital ledger system to improve transparency and reduce costs in areas like federal spending, payment systems, data security, and property management, according to individuals familiar with the discussion. In my point of view, that is incredible, because I do believe sometimes some government departments get too much budget for no apparent reason, and that money goes to waste. For example, we've had essentially, government departments that get too much money, and sometimes the money disappears. For example, the homeless essentially sector of the government, where they get it essentially, every county or every essentially mayor gets some sort of a budget to fix the homeless crisis situation in their states. And that budget is incredibly large, believe it or not, to fix the homeless situation in all these American states. But for some reason, no properties get built ever, and some maybe do in some cases, but the majority don't. And millions upon millions upon millions of dollars disappear from the homeless budget always. And that's not the only budget that money disappears from and suddenly gets lost. There has been millions or billions in some cases that have just disappeared from government budgets. And when they ask the people that are in charge of these budgets, what happened to the hundreds of millions of dollars we gave you? They say, we can't find the paperwork. But you know what's interesting? If you skip on your taxes with the IRS, or if you put the wrong input, let's just say you're $5 off, and the IRS will contact you and try to fine you. Or the same thing could apply in any other jurisdiction around the world. If you are, messing around with the numbers, and you might, by accidentally forget to put, $5 is off or $1 is off, you will get a fine from your government for not paying the correct taxes because you're $1 off. But government departments lose hundreds of millions of dollars to billions of dollars every year. And it's like, oops, sorry, we don't know where we place the money. But if you're off by $1, you get a fine. It's interesting how things work. But I think what Elon Musk is trying to introduce is an incredible idea. Introducing blockchain technology into government departments for budgeting, especially for budgeting, to see where the money is actually being spent because it's public information, it's a public blockchain. That's incredible. I think every government should adapt a blockchain, essentially, platform when it comes to budgeting, for example, because we want to know where that oops money suddenly goes to. Is it a new villa, or is it actually spent on the people? And for example, Musk reportedly proposed leveraging a digital ledger system to improve transparency and reduce the cost and the federal spendings, the payment system, data security, everything that comes with blockchain, which is great to be used by governments. As a part of this initiative, representatives have engaged with leaders of several essentially prominent public blockchains and platforms to explore potential collaborations. The Department of Government Efficiency was established in response to the concerns over excessive federal spending. Now, which essentially reached $6.7 trillion in 2024. Musk has criticized this expenditure as wasteful, pledging it could cut it down to $2 trillion at most. The department's acronym, essentially Doge, is a nod to Musk's long-standing support for Dogecoin, reflecting the administration's broader commitment to fostering crypto-friendly policies. On January 20th, the essentially day Doge was established, President Trump signed an essential executive order, essentially forming a working group on digital assets led by the venture capitalist David Sachs. This group is tasked with identifying all the existing essential regulations related to crypto within the 30-day and recommending reforms. Musk's blockchain initiative aligns with the administration's vision of incorporating emerging technologies and to improve the governance and efficiencies and signal a broader step towards modernization. Honestly, what Elon Musk is about to be introducing inside the US government department is incredible. It has two major positives. One, the first positive that Elon Musk introducing blockchain for the crypto space is we finally get to see where the money is being spent when it comes to governments, because there's wasting too much money and too much money disappears, and it's unfair. Because when the government or members of the government lose hundreds of millions of dollars overnight and nobody knows where that money was spent, that pressure goes back onto the people of that state or back onto the people of that country in essentially many reasons. So it's good for us to know where the government spends our taxpaying money, and it's not just, oops, we spent $100 million, but we don't know what's on. Two, the other positive note is that depending on which blockchain they choose, it could be very profitable for you inside the crypto sector. So one, transparency. It's definitely needed. Okay, we've come to a stage where governments need to show transparency, and we need it. And Trump is the man to make that happen. So strong, essentially, and so is Elon Musk. And two, depending on which blockchain they choose, profit for us. In most cases, it's going to be legitimate crypto projects, but knowing Elon Musk, it could also be Doge. You never know. I don't think it is, in personal hindsight. I don't think it's going to be Doge in any sort of a way, but it's going to be more of a legitimate crypto project. But you never know. But in all sense, what he's introducing is incredible. Now, keeping on the topic of governments, let's talk about France. Because France is about to be introducing something ridiculous. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, well, France might not relate to you in any sort of a way. You might not be, somebody that's living in France, and you might think to yourself, well, this news isn't relatable to me. It's about France. Well, it is, especially if you're someone that lives in the EU in general or in a G20 country. But obviously, America is playing by different rules, so we'll leave that one out. But the rest of the world, the rest of the G20 countries, France wants to target crypto gains. Now, France talked about, essentially targeting crypto gains last year, but they never took action on it. But they're about to now. So here it is. France targets crypto gains with a new wealth tax. The French Senate recently approved the 2025 budget, which includes a new unproductive wealth tax. This proposed tax would target a range of crypto assets and apply annually in unrealized gains. In other words, investors could be taxed on increased value of their crypto holdings even if they haven't sold a single coin. Now, this is something that's coming to an effect. It's confirmed. It's coming to an effect in France this year. If you are somebody that lives in France, you are going to get taxed for holding your cryptocurrencies even if you don't sell them. Now, the reason why France is doing this is because France is broke. Not even joking about that one. France is crippled right now. They are heading towards a massive real estate economic bubble, and they need money desperately. And obviously, they can't borrow money because the countries around France are also as broke as France. So where are they going to get their money from? It's either print it or tax. That's how governments make their money. It's either they print it, or they borrow it, or they tax the people. So France decided to tax the crypto space because the crypto space has been making an incredible amount of money for themselves. So they decided to tax them instead to help their economic bubble crisis. The idea of taxing unrealized gains has sparked debates far and wide inside the crypto space. So supporters argue essentially that it's a fair way to tax wealthy investors sitting on large untapped fortunes. Critics, however, call it a slippery slope, claiming it unfairly essentially penalizes those who are simply holding on to their investments. You know what I always love? When governments come out and say, you know what, we're going to tax these types of groups of people because they're not paying their fair share of their tax money. And then you have groups of people from the retail section, just like you and me, regular folks, who come out and say, yes, the government is right. Those types of groups of people should also be paying their taxes as well. What those groups of people don't realize is that even if, let's just say, for example, the crypto space pays their tax. Let's just say, for example, the crypto space pays their tax, which is any of that money going to enter into the public's pockets? Is, for example, the crypto people paying their tax, is that money going to be spent on roads, on schools, on healthcare in that country? No. It's going to go straight into the pockets of the politicians, which will spend it on their vacation homes and their private yachts and their private jets, or will be sent to countries like Ukraine to go into an unnecessary war with Russia, which is bumping up the fuel prices. So the funny part always is when governments essentially introduce, for example, in the UK, the government said farmers are not paying their taxes because the government in UK needs money. And where they're going to get it from is either print it, borrow it, or tax it. So the government in the UK decided to say to everyone, the reason why the UK is not doing too well is because the UK needs the farmers to pay their taxes on time. To pay more taxes. And there was people, just like me and you, regular folks, protesting and saying, yes, the farmers in the UK should be paying their taxes. Again, what those people don't realize is even if the farmers in the UK pay their taxes, none of that money, not a single penny, is going to go towards the healthcare in the UK, the British roads, or the school and educations. Instead, that money is going to essentially go into the pockets of the politicians in the UK, and in most cases, land in Zelensky's pockets in Ukraine. Because even though we're not doing too well, we still have money somehow to send to Zelensky in Ukraine to also go into unnecessary war with essentially with Russia. It's very strange, honestly. I don't understand the mindset some people have when the government says these groups of people are not paying their taxes, and there are actual people who decide to not go to work or don't have a job and go and protest and say, yes, these groups of people, why are they not paying more taxes? Because even if they did, what will happen? The world will be fixed automatically? Your country will go back up the stakes? No. So the idea of France trying to say, well, the crypto space is not paying their taxes, that is why France is not doing too well. No, that's not the reason why France is not doing too well. The reason why France is not doing too well is because it's sending billions of dollars or billions of dollars to Ukraine when they don't have money for themselves or their people. The next step, a vote in France, National Assembly, where the lawmakers will decide whether this tax gets essentially the green light if passed. It could set a precedent in Europe, where governments are increasingly focused on tightening crypto regulations. So if France, one stage has already been passed for them to tax, people who are holding crypto assets and not selling. The second stage is about to be passed as well. And if it does, that means every other country in Europe will follow France's footsteps on taxing you for holding your crypto assets. Something the governments never had in hand in. The governments never taught you about crypto assets. They never essentially, helped you with the research. They never helped you save money, so that they just taxed you into the ground. So you spent the research and your own money on buying crypto assets, and now the government wants also a piece of pie of that, just for you holding it. Next, they'll try to tax you on oxygen because you're breathing it. France isn't new to taxing in terms of cryptocurrencies. Profits from crypto trades are essentially already subject to capital gains tax. But this new tax goes a step further by targeting unrealized gains, something that hasn't been widely accepted in other countries because it's ridiculously stupid. For crypto investors, it could mean a heavier tax burden even during market downtrends. So imagine that. You've been holding your crypto assets for a very long time, and the market takes a sharp downtrend. And now you're hemorrhaging a loss because of the market space, and the government goes, you need to pay your taxes also. So you're holding your crypto assets, the market goes, and the government goes, just for you holding, pay your taxes. So in other words, you're better off selling. But if you sell, you get trapped in CBDCs. It's crazy. So as crypto grows in popularity, governments are looking for ways to ensure benefits don't come at the cost of lost revenue in terms of taxes. And still, taxing unrealized gains is a bold move that could essentially test the patience of crypto enthusiasts. The proposal essentially highlights the growing tensions between governments and the decentralized financial system, championed by cryptocurrencies. While lawmakers aim to essentially bring crypto into the decide to essentially bring cryptocurrencies into the aim to bring crypto into the fold of traditional finance, some argue that these moves could stifle innovation and drive investment elsewhere. It definitely can. Obviously, if France is thinking about releasing this stupidity of a law, then yes, a lot of people are going to be exiting France on a large scale, massive scale. And some people will probably just claim they lost their crypto wallets on a boating accident. I wouldn't blame them. Now, obviously not financial advice in any sort of way, just entertainment purposes only. But Trump is what we're talking about next. But before we actually talk about the Trump news, let's go inside the comment section first. As I said previously, this is live, which means if you do have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. More than happy to answer any questions you may have. Let's go inside the comment section first, and I'm going to go straight into the next news, which is Trump news, which is positive news. As always, Trump news is always positive news, even though liberals might not seem Trump news as positive news, but it is. It always is. Let's go inside the comment section first. So it's interesting when you start. Let's see where we were at. Okay, we're here. Hi, Miles of CMF. Stormy, good to see you. So how you doing, Stormy? How you been? Anything on XYO, Sir Miles? Nothing on XYO, to be fairly honest. What's your take on CFT token scam? Okay, there's a new token that's been going around and it's been pushing itself on news articles and trying to say it's an XRP token. And it's called CTF token. It's a scam. In my point of view, not financial advice in any sort of a way, entertainment purposes only, the token that's been pushed around called CTF token, scam. Pure scam, 1 billion% scam. And they keep on trying to relate the news to XRP and CTF token. CTF token is a scam. I looked for here with exactly say right behind Michael Saylor to be the strength in their playing of much of that BTC. I know now. Yeah, that's completely messed up. Regarding France trying to tax people, yes. That's not good news. UK will do that next, I bet. Well, we have to see how that plays out, to be honest, Ronnie. Hopefully the UK doesn't do that. The UK has made very bad movements so far in terms of all of their policies, but let's see how this one plays out. They haven't introduced it. They've never even mentioned it, to be very honest, so far. Is true, Eric Trump said no capital gains tax for US companies. No, it's not no capital gains tax. There's some, but it's much more lower than what they were supposed to be paying beforehand. XCN, high transaction fees, ERC20 token. Christopher, thank you so much for that. Thank you for that, Christopher. We pay taxes, but in the UK, every year, the rubbish bins in the streets widely reduce, just rubbish around. Yeah. To be honest, taxes in general, I mean, come on. Who actually believes, genuinely, who actually believes tax money goes towards education and healthcare and fixing the roads and fixing the homeless situation in any country? Nobody believes that. Honestly, from the hundreds of millions of dollars or billions of dollars of tax money collected from citizens of every country, about 0.0001% maybe gets spent on the country. The rest goes in the government's pocket to do whatever they want with it. So nobody actually believes in the idea that, you know, when you pay your taxes, your tax money is going to education systems or essentially healthcare or fixing the roads or fixing communities. Because in reality, every country has got worse if you look from the last 20 years until now. And from the last 20 years until now, we've all been paying taxes. And how's your country doing now? Does any country have good healthcare where you're not waiting for seeing your doctor in 6 months' time or trying to get an appointment in 6 months' time? To be fairly honest, nobody believes the idea that, you know, your tax money actually goes to healthcare or education or anything like that. It doesn't. Maybe 0.0001% of your tax money goes towards any of those topics. But in reality, the majority of it just disappears, poof, overnight. Now, Trump's executive order on digital assets. Good for crypto, not for Bitcoin. This is something that's relatable to now. So, as you may have realized, there is a debate inside the crypto sector about who is the king of crypto. Is it Bitcoin because it was first and has a limited supply, or is it XRP that's the king of crypto because it can actually do everything that Bitcoin can do and more, 10 times faster and 10 times cheaper, or in this case 1,000 times cheaper and 1,000 times faster? So if you have realized right now inside the crypto space, there's been a debate on the whole idea of, is it Bitcoin, is it XRP, which one's first, which one's going to be the American crypto reserve? Well, for the longest time, it's been, you know, the thought that Bitcoin is going to be the reserve asset of the United States. But when Trump signed that executive order, it didn't really mention Bitcoin. Instead, it said crypto reserve, not Bitcoin reserve, which then made the Bitcoin maxis go into this deep depression. Honestly, to be fairly honest, Bitcoin maxis, they represent liberals, to be fairly honest. You know how liberals act when Trump is trying to make something, you know, when Trump is trying to make a valid point, or when Elon Musk is trying to make a valid point, and then you have the liberals who just cry and scream and, you know, talk unnecessary about things that don't really matter. I saw one guy make a video about how Bitcoin is this and that, and he was a Bitcoin maxi, and he was trying to relate XRP versus Bitcoin as a crypto reserve, which is better for the country. And then he tried to get into the conversation of, you know, Bitcoin is freedom. And then he said, I'm going to be having children in this country. And, you know, having XRP being a part of that is going to affect it. How does XRP affect you having children? Unless you have low sperm count, which is still not relatable to XRP. But these Bitcoin maxis genuinely do represent liberals who just cry and scream like a child for unnecessary reasons. While as the XRP community is, you know, even though some might have some back and forward going on, but at least we don't cry about it or unrelate unnecessary things to it. Because the topic of you having a child, which I'm not even joking, there was a video of a Bitcoin maxi guy crying his eyes out and saying, how can Ripple do this and so on? And then he goes to the speech of freedom and topics. And then he goes to the speech of, I'm having children in this country. I don't think he has a girlfriend, but to be fairly honest, let's just go with the topic of if he has a girlfriend. But he said he's going to be having children in this country. And you know, Ripple being a part of the reserve is going to affect that. How? Nobody knows. But they do represent really, you know, crying babies like liberals. While the XRP family is more like Republicans. They want everybody to benefit and make money, to be fairly honest. But then there was also the thing of essentially regarding the thing that they keep on releasing on X, which I made a comment about it as well. And the reason why I'm bringing this up, because Citibank brought this up as well, because it got to a stage where the feud between XRP and Bitcoin got to such a level where Citibank is essentially Citibank's analyst even got involved, which one of the Bitcoin maxis posted a ridiculous post and said, for example, these are all the positives about Bitcoin, is what he said, the Bitcoin maxi. And he said, Bitcoin has no founder, and that's a positive. I'm sorry, did Bitcoin just come out of thin air? Somebody created Bitcoin, which therefore means Bitcoin has a founder. We just don't know who it is or which agency created Bitcoin. So this topic of, essentially people saying, oh, Bitcoin has no founder, while as Ripple has a founder. Well, how's that a bad thing? Because at least we know who created XRP. So we know for a fact they won't pull the plug on us. But when it comes to Bitcoin, who created it? Not a single essential person from the Bitcoin maxis, cry liberal babies will be able to answer that question. So the ridiculousness of them keep on mentioning Bitcoin has no founder, it's not really a positive. Because whoever the founder of Bitcoin is, if it's an agency or a person, he holds a substantial amount of Bitcoin that if he decides to one day dump, what do you think is going to happen to Bitcoin? And then he goes on to say Bitcoin has no ruling foundation. You can picture that one. Bitcoin has no pre-mines. Fair enough. He says Bitcoin has no insiders. No. Bitcoin, just like any other asset on this planet, can be manipulated, as you can see. Bitcoin has no intentional investors. Incorrect also. Bitcoin has no office. Fair enough. Bitcoin has no website. Well, technically does, but fair enough. Bitcoin has no paid executive team. Incorrect. Anybody heard of Michael Saylor? He might not be a paid executive team of Bitcoin, but he's definitely sure an advocate for Bitcoin who's been buying it left, right, and center, trying to promote it to anyone. MicroStrategy has been trying to have sit-downs with Microsoft, trying to get them to purchase Bitcoin. They're pretty much on their knees and begging Trump to buy a Bitcoin, create it to a reserve. Otherwise, if they don't, imagine Trump comes out and says, you know what, we're going to do American in reserve assets only. And they decide not to buy Bitcoin, just American reserve assets only. What do you think is going to happen to MicroStrategy? Because Michael Saylor has been betting on the idea that one day Trump is going to come out and say Bitcoin reserve. And if Trump doesn't come up with the words Bitcoin reserve very soon, or goes with the idea of crypto reserve instead, or goes with the idea of American reserve and so on, it's not going to really look good for MicroStrategy, who's been hodling Bitcoin for the longest time on borrowed loans, which is in other words borrowed money, which they have to pay back very soon. So let's see how that one plays out. The next one, he says, Bitcoin has no marketing team. It technically does. It's the people that buy Bitcoin that market it to everybody else to buy for no apparent reason. And then they go on to say Bitcoin had no starting price, which is also incorrect. It must have had a starting price to reach the prices they got now. It also goes on to say that Bitcoin has no human controlling it, which is also incorrect, because the majority of Bitcoin's network is maintained by American Bitcoin mining farms, which are also on the public stock exchange, which is also BlackRock. And then it goes and says Bitcoin is the fairest money on earth. No. The fairest money on earth would be a type of currency that's spread across everybody, where everybody has a chance, essentially. Everybody has a fair amount. The fairest money would be, in the keyword fairest, would be when everybody has a fair chance. But if you're holding 1,000 Bitcoins and the guy next to you is holding 0.002 worth of Bitcoin, how is that the fairest? It's in the word. So the fairest money would be if everybody had the equal amount, which is never going to happen. So honestly, to the Bitcoin maxis that are just spewing BS lies, please stop. Because you're only embarrassing yourself. Now, on that topic of Bitcoin reserves and so on and so on, here is Citibank's perspective. Because, as I said, they were really expecting, MicroStrategy was really expecting Bitcoin reserve. Bitcoin liberal crybabies were also expecting Bitcoin reserve, but it never happened because Trump signed an executive order for crypto reserves, not Bitcoin reserves. and obviously crying about how Ripple's, trying to stifle Bitcoin and so on and so on. Tough luck. Life's not fair. Ripple's been stifled for the longest time. You don't see Ripple people crying about it. I've never seen an XRP person create a video and cry about it and say he can't have kids because of Bitcoin. So here it is. Trump's executive order on digital assets, good for crypto, not for Bitcoin, is what Citibank says. So Trump's executive order, good for crypto assets, reserve assets, not for Bitcoin. Trump's executive order on digital assets is a positive for the crypto world. But it remains to be seen how recommendations differ from the existing bills, including those that are pending court cases, said Alex, the head of quantum micro strategies at Citi Research. In a note, he said, President Trump released an executive order that would create a working group focused essentially on digital assets. The proposal rule changes of a framework for digital asset regulations, as well as an examine of a strict reserve and prohibit the central bank digital currencies within 180 days, which is a long time in crypto, said essentially Alex. The executive order cities assessing public blockchains, mining, validating and deploying software without censorship, as well as protecting the sovereignty of the US dollar through promoting essentially US dollar-backed stablecoins, which is in this case there's only two US-backed stablecoins technically. One is USDC Circle, the other one is RLUSD Ripple. However, several awaiting court decisions also will likely happen faster than any full-blown legislation, including cases with Ripple Labs. So according to Citi Research, we're going to be getting the results of the Ripple case, of this case being fully blown over, faster than the legislation is even coming in. This is according to essentially Citi. However, several court awaiting decisions will likely happen faster than any full-blown legislations, including cases with Ripple, XRP USD, and Coinbase's Coin, because they also have a case with the SEC and Coinbase, both of which cases before the Second Circuit that could affect how digital assets are defined within the existing securities laws. Now, Alex also said, in our view, legislation is likely to extend that of a timetable much further. But the commitment to providing regulatory essential clarity and well-defined jurisdictional regulatory boundaries will encourage for the industry. He added that investors who see Bitcoin, BTC, USD as the only necessary cryptocurrency might be disappointed with the executive order requiring a working group to evaluate the potential creation of a digital asset stockpile. There is no explicit mention of Bitcoin. Also, in the order, explicitly mentions that this could be from a lawfully seized cryptocurrency, which lessens the likelihood of an open market purchase, which could have a larger price impact. Honestly, if for some reason America only decides to buy for their stockpile reserves American crypto assets only, then MicroStrategy, mark my words, if that ever happens, if it doesn't, then it doesn't. But if a hypothetical, scenario, they come out and say we're going to do a crypto reserve, Bitcoin maxis will not like that. But who cares about Bitcoin maxis? Because I'm in favor of a crypto stockpile, which is a handful or a basket of cryptocurrencies. Because as I said previously, Bitcoin maxis need to get off their high horse. This is about fixing an economy, essentially, or the world's economy, and creating a crypto portfolio, as I've said day one, always makes more sense. So having some Bitcoin, having some XRP, XLM, XDC, HBO, whatever, as a crypto portfolio for any government around the world is better play than just having Bitcoin. Bitcoin maxis only care about their profits, while I personally care about fixing the economic crisis bubble situations that's going on around the world. And a crypto portfolio will make that happen. Slowly, not overnight. But in a hypothetical scenario, if Trump doesn't, essentially only says American companies only, MicroStrategy will probably be the first one to start dumping on the market space on their Bitcoins, because those loans need to be paid off. And he's only betting on Trump buying Bitcoin. If Trump doesn't buy Bitcoin, as in the United States government doesn't buy Bitcoin for their crypto portfolio, the first person that's going to be dumping on the market space is this first person that's also advocating Bitcoin to everyone, Michael Saylor. And I'm not taking any sort of things against Michael Saylor in any sort of a way. This isn't financial advice in any sort of a way. It's entertainment purposes only, and this is a hypothetical, scenario. But if Trump, for some oddly reason, decides to only go for American companies, blockchain companies, for their reserve stockpile, and because if they want to go for Bitcoin, they would have mentioned Bitcoin, which they didn't. They said crypto reserves in general. So if they decide not to go for Bitcoin, just to keep the Bitcoin they already have from their seized accounts, that's not really a good play for MicroStrategy. Now, Ripple CTO, keeping on the topic of Ripple, because it's also relatable to the Citi research, Ripple CTO reveals Bitcoin Maxi's major fear. So keeping on that same topic, Ripple CTO, obviously everyone knows who that is, David Schwartz. The discussions surrounding Bitcoin's dominance as a role of an alternative digital asset has again come to the forefront, sparked by comments from David Schwartz, Ripple's chief technology officer, CTO, addressing the attacks on XRP by Bitcoin's Maximus. Now, I've seen so many Bitcoin Maxis, from high-profile executives to random people who are Bitcoin Maxis. And obviously, I've seen the other side as well, with XRP defending their territory, defending XRP's status and so on. Now, obviously, there's space for both of us to coexist. There's space for Bitcoin to coexist alongside XRP, and XRP to coexist alongside Bitcoin. There's space for both of us to exist. But if we're going to do who is better than who, well, we obviously know XRP is better than Bitcoin. It's faster, it's cheaper, it's more scalable. There's no question about it. And so we prefer for you to coexist rather than for you to just disappear and not exist. So we're being nice inside the XRP space when we say, we want Bitcoin to coexist. Unlike the Bitcoin Maxis who just want Bitcoin to exist, or they can't have kids. I still can't work that one out. That one Bitcoin Max. Now, I don't normally get stumped or a loss for words in my life, but that one Bitcoin Maxi video, where the guy said he can't have kids in the future because if Ripple's a part of the crypto reserve in America, that stumped me. I still can't understand why he can't have kids if XRP is a part of the American reserve. I don't think anyone could work that one out, to be fairly honest. But moving on from that confusing situation, from that one Bitcoin Maxi, to now going back to this, addressing the attacks on XRP by Bitcoin, David Schwartz highlighted the discomfort of certain groups with the push for regulatory treatments across cryptocurrency sector. David Schwartz shared his thoughts on X, stating the reasonings why essentially Bitcoin Maxis don't want XRP to, take the ranks or be alongside Bitcoin. He said, we started pushing for a level playing field where the government doesn't play favorites. That was always what the Maximus essentially feared the most, what the Bitcoin people feared the most, where it's a level playing field. Because think of it, if we really do have a level playing field inside the crypto sector, do you really think Bitcoin will still be taking the ranks? Let's just presume for a second that there was no XRP case, that American banks since day one worked with XRP. That since day one, the same time Bitcoin ETFs came out, XRP ETFs came out. And we had XRP capabilities for staking on their ETFs. We had no XRP case with the SEC. We had XRP ETFs with the same time as essentially Bitcoin ETFs. Banks working with XRP because, there was no stifling going on, none of this going on. Yeah, we wouldn't be where we are now. So if we really did have a level playing field, obviously Bitcoin will get demolished in that race because they're expensive, slow, and not very great to build on as a chain. And that's just facts. And again, I want Bitcoin to coexist alongside every other asset like XRP. But the Bitcoin Maxis only want them to exist because they know if we're actually playing on a level playing field, it's like, a Ferrari, which is XRP, versus a bicycle, which is Bitcoin. It's just never going to catch up. No matter how much you pedal on that bicycle, you're never going to be able to catch up to the Ferrari, which is XRP Bitcoin. So a level playing field is obviously the worst nightmare for Bitcoin Maxis because that's when all the things go south for Bitcoin. Because they're not fast, they're not cheap, and you can't build anything on it. Many have tried, and many have failed. including Binance. Binance Exchange once decided to create NFTs on the Bitcoin network. They promoted about it, they shouted about it, they screamed about it. They said Bitcoin NFTs, the next big thing. Yeah, that project lasted 1 month until they realized, you know what? It's not really a good idea to build on Bitcoin because the network is getting congested. So they scrapped the whole Bitcoin NFTs on Binance. I said the moment it was introduced, it's a bad idea because the network got congested and it's just a terrible idea to start off with. It lasted 1 month before Binance closed down operations on Bitcoin NFTs. So when I say many have tried to build on Bitcoin, but all have failed, not lying. David Schwartz basically sharing his thoughts on, because we're trying to get a level playing field, Bitcoin maxis are running scared because that's the last thing they want. His remarks underscores the perceptions that Bitcoin benefits from regulatory favoritism, because it does, creating barriers for other cryptocurrencies to compete on equal terms. In response to questions about Bitcoin's future, David Schwartz also acknowledged its current market dominance, while expressing skepticism about this technology and as a long-term value driver. He remarked, I think Bitcoin stays number one for a long time because the value of the money doesn't come from its technology, but largely essentially from the network effects. But who knows, he said. Network effects that arise from Bitcoin's early adoption, widespread essentially recognition, continues to reinforce its position as a leading cryptocurrency. However, David Schwartz implied that this dominance is not guaranteed by Bitcoin indefinitely, especially if a level playing field is being played. So this is David Schwartz, CTO of Ripple, stating that if there is a level playing field, Bitcoin is not staying at number one. Because the only thing Bitcoin has to offer is limited supply. That's pretty much it, just limited supply. But then again, we also had a BlackRock advert come out, and at the bottom it said that they can produce more if they wanted to, which also made the Bitcoin maxis angry at BlackRock, which is also one of their biggest investors in Bitcoin, pretty much from the commercial side. So even that limited supply is a bit of a risky situation. When asked if, and it can be done, but obviously the Bitcoin nodes have to approve it for it to be essentially a viable thing. Not saying they would, but if they did, they can print more Bitcoins if they wanted to. So BlackRock stating that on their advert, it was true, but does have to pass some sort of processing before it becomes truth. But it can happen, is what the point is. So that limited supply is what's just keeping Bitcoin pumping and alive. Digital asset investors, a well-known cryptocurrency advocate, essentially weighed in on the debates, posting, the Bitcoin maxis won't like this one bit. It's just a matter of time with the level playing field. This sentiment also echoed essentially by many inside the crypto community space, essentially agreeing with David Schwartz that a level playing field is the last thing Bitcoin maxis want, because it's true. It's, it couldn't be, more true. Critics of Bitcoin often highlight its scalability issues, its energy-intensive proof-of-work consensus mechanism as a significant limitation. While Bitcoin's role as a store of value is largely undisputed, its ability to serve as a global medium of exchange and its ability to evolving essentially market demands are frequently questioned. And the concept of a level playing field has become essential to the conversation about cryptocurrency regulations. Many argue that a fair regulatory framework could enable innovation and competition, allowing essentially emerging technologies to challenge Bitcoin's dominance. XRP prominence, in particular, have emphasized this point in light of Ripple's legal battles with U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. Although David Schwartz essentially does not predict immediate changes inside Bitcoin's market position, his comments essentially highlight the importance of fostering an environment where value is determined by utility and innovation rather than historical advantages. As the cryptocurrency industry continues to grow and evolve, the factors defining success, whether network effects, essentially technological superiority or adaptability, will be key to the shaping the market space. Facts. If we have a level playing field, Bitcoin has no hope. In the long term, it has no hope. The moment utility kicks in, and also the idea that Bitcoin is a great reserve of assets, for Bitcoin to actually be a risk-off asset, just like gold. Gold is a risk-off asset. which means if two countries tomorrow, any two random countries tomorrow, go to war, gold will go up in value. Now, obviously, Bitcoin is known as what? The digital gold. So which means if two random countries suddenly go to war tomorrow, for example, let's say China and Taiwan go to war tomorrow, is Bitcoin going to go up like a risk-off asset like gold, or is it going to come down? Yeah, it's going to come down. So even the title that Bitcoin has been given for the longest time, which is a risk-off asset, it's far from it. Because for Bitcoin to be actually titled, and I mean genuinely titled, digital gold, it has to react like gold. Two random countries tomorrow go to war. Gold goes up in value. Bitcoin goes down in value. So how can it be a digital gold when it doesn't react like gold? Those are all valid points. It's factual points. Now, also on the topic of Ripple, Ripple's future and XRP. What do the new licensings and 2025 strategy tell us? So as you know, Ripple got two new licensings today, which is from New York and Texas. So Ripple secured money transmitter license, MTLs, essentially in New York and Texas this week. The company now holds over 60 regulatory approvals worldwide. So Ripple holds 60 regulatory approvals worldwide, which is crazy. Now, this follows essentially recent licensings obtained by Ripple in Dubai and Singapore and regions actively shaping cryptocurrency policies. Ripple's licensings progress essentially coincides with its ongoing legal disputes with the SEC, a case that has essentially influenced its operational strategy for years. We're continuing to see more interest. This is what Brad said, by the way. This is word for word what Brad said. We're continuing to see more interest from financial institutions to crypto businesses that want to unlock the benefits of crypto and blockchain for faster, cost-efficient, and 24/7 cross-border payments. With years of experience working in both crypto with financial institutions, Ripple is well positioned to support companies who are ready to take advantage of the current landscape. Now, XRP has recorded essentially $0.18 billion in trading volume in essentially the past 24 hours, despite the broader market declines. The token's price fell approximately 10% before stabilizing essentially at higher levels. Now, analysts attribute the volume spike to the increased investor activity, with data showing essentially 265.68% in rise in trading interest. Market observers suggest that buyers are essentially accumulating XRP at a lower price, anticipating a potential rebound, which it is going to. Continuing essentially with the reports, Ripple's hiring expansion in the US aligns with its regulatory advancements. The company has increased its workforce, essentially following favorable developments in the SEC case. A shift towards a more crypto, essentially friendly oversight under the current SEC administration could further ease operational hurdles, which it is going to. The current SEC is very pro-crypto. Ripple's CEO, Brad, will address the public. And also, here's what's been said by Ripple's, essentially Brad. Brad said that he is going to be coming out with some sort of information regarding Ripple's strategy moving forward as a company on January 28th, which is today. His remarks are expected to touch on Ripple's proposal to include XRP in the US Crypto Strategy Reserve. Now, that's what's being, essentially rumored is what Brad is going to mention today. We don't know what Brad is going to mention today, but most likely it's going to be positive because he's going to be talking about the future of Ripple as a company moving forward in 2025. But a controversial idea drawing mixed reactions is Brad going to mention XRP is a part of the crypto reserve today or not? But in most cases, it's going to be about what Ripple is going to be doing in the following months this year and so on. Now, the interplay between Ripple's licensing gains and XRP's trading patterns and regulatory shifts underscores a critical phase for the company. For now, market participants await clarity on XRP's price recovery and Brad's forthcoming announcement today. Now, I just want to say, this whole feud between Bitcoin and XRP. XRP people want Bitcoin to coexist. Bitcoin maxis only want Bitcoin to exist. And to be fairly honest, I couldn't care less what any of the Bitcoin maxis think or want. Because the better solution for any country would be to have a crypto reserve. Because they can profit more based on the quantity. If they wanted to spend $1 billion on just buying Bitcoin, good, great. But if they spend $1 billion on buying XRP or $1 billion buying XLM or so on and so on, and price increase happens, which it will do, because if America creates a crypto reserve with a collection of cryptocurrencies, then the rest of the world will follow America's footsteps by creating a crypto reserve and buying the exact same assets, which will shoot up the prices, which will make countries make a lot of money based on the quantity on their purchase, for example, on XRP or XLM, XDCH, which will be beneficial, a lot more beneficial for any jurisdiction. So I've always said since day one, a crypto reserve is a lot more better to have. Essentially a crypto reserve of a collective of cryptocurrencies, not just Bitcoin. But also, I just want to point out the fact that the downtrend we had on today's market space is not going to be lasting for too long. So if you were somebody that brought in, essentially, if you were somebody that brought the dip, good on you for buying the dip. Not financial advice in any sort of a way, entertainment purposes only. But if you were somebody that brought the dip today, good on you. We might have another slight dip depending on the Jerome Powell reports coming out this week, the Fed report coming out this week. If it's going to be good news, then the market will react in a positive way. If it's bad news, the market will dip slightly more. But either way, market dips, market doesn't dip. What is going to be happening this year, which is guaranteed to happen, is cases with the SEC dismissed or settled. Regulations from the SEC, regulations from the CFTC, because one has had closed door meetings, the other one's CFTC is about to be having a public open meeting. And in general, financial projects are going to do excellent this year, without a doubt. America is still going to become the crypto resident of the world. And I don't believe for a second that China spent $5.5 million on that AI tool that they released today in any sort of a way. By the way, nobody's seen proof. And it's not just me randomly saying, where's the proof, China? No, Bloomberg, which is gospel for the entire Wall Street and the entire world, is asking China for proof if they really spent $5.5 million. Because at this point, we're just taking China's words on their $5.5 million. I don't believe for a second. Do you know why I don't believe China spent 5.5 essentially million on that AI tool? Because their budget for their AI is actually, for their AI investments, is not 5.5 million or 6 million. Their budget for their AI investments is actually 1 trillion yuan, which is roughly about $157.5 billion. That's their actual budget for their AI, not 5.5 million. And ironically, the exact same day today, that was that news that was released from China, was the exact same day President Trump's executive order about who created COVID and released it on purpose to the public, which was China. COVID was created in a lab in China, which Biden was trying to hide from the rest of the world. That COVID was created in a lab in China and released on purposely to the rest of the world. Biden was trying to hide that. Well, not Biden, because Biden's not all there and he is a bit sleepy, because he's known as Sleepy Joe. But the team around Biden, Biden's administration of circus freaks and manipulators, were the ones hiding the documentations that China actually created COVID on purpose and released it from a lab. At the exact same time, Trump takes his presidency, so that Trump can't do anything positive the first time around when he became president in the market space in general, because, well, COVID happened. But he did try his best, Trump, the first time around. He did still bring some positivity. He could have brought more positivity, but, China on purposely releasing the COVID essential situation. But anyways, the executive order that was signed to release that information was released today. That China released, COVID from a lab, that information was released today. Today also being the day, essentially, not today, well, essentially yesterday, because today's the 28th, but the exact same time DeepSeek information came out is the exact same time China's information came out regarding them creating COVID. The ironic part of the timing of the news. One was overshadowed. The truth was overshadowed, let's just say. But in any states, this whole AI situation is going to blow over. China did not spend 5.5 million creating an AI tool. They haven't shown proof. If they did, they would have shown proof day one. Their actual budget for their AI is 157 billion dollars, which is pretty much 1 trillion yuan, not 5.5 million. And also the feud between XRP and Ripple. I'm sorry, the feud between XRP and Bitcoin. XRP is better in all aspects. Okay, XRP is better in all aspects. It's faster, it's cheaper, it's better to scale on. And if there really is a level playing field, which there should be, because we want innovation, not just profits, but we also want innovation. Yeah, Bitcoin has no hope whatsoever. And on the topic of the market's downtrend, don't worry, the market's going to pick up. This year is going to be an amazing year without a doubt. Regulations from the SEC in cases getting dropped, CFTC regulations, America become the capital of the cryptocurrency world, a crypto reserve, banks are essentially able to use cryptocurrencies. The SAB 121 was lifted, all that's positive. So guaranteed this year is going to be incredible. Not just my words, Grayscale's words, JP Morgan's words, Larry Fink's words, Citi's words, the list goes on. With the amount of corporates, every single one of them, this year is going to be it. Last year was stepping stones. This year is the actual movement. And on that subject of don't worry, everything's still positive in every aspect. All good things must come to an end, which they have now. Which this was the endings of tonight's episode of the CMF Live. If you're watching this for the first time ever, this was episode 249 of the CMF Live. So if you're watching this for the first time ever, this was episode 249 of the CMF Live. You can tune in for episode 250 tomorrow at 11:25 p.m. UK time. And tune in for episode 250. And on this slide, I talk about the most recent news that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrencies, CBDCs, AI, politics, regulations, and also the CMF stands for Crypto Miles Family. And as you know, my name is Miles. I go by the persona Crypto Miles. So before we actually do go, let's move to the comment section first, because I want to answer everybody's questions before we do go off. But yeah, let me go to the comment section first. People will prefer Bitcoin over XRP, shouldn't have children. Yeah, facts. I agree 100%. Okay, let me go a bit more up, because I think I missed some questions. Okay, we're here. Okay, we pay taxes, but in the UK every year, Rush. Yep, we're gonna remember the boating accident thing. The boating accident thing. Let's go easy. Miles, evening, sir. David, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Good evening, brother Miles. Good to see you. Hopefully, XLP. How you doing? Hi, Kirat. Good to see you. How you doing? With those tax implications, I might just move country at this point. Let's go, Kirat. ICP Panda invited by DeepSeek is huge. That's my plan, Kirat. I just needed some good crypto gains first. Ronnie said people who prefer Bitcoin over XRP shouldn't have kids. I agree. Bitcoin maxis limits your vision. I agree. Leroy, facts. Most Bitcoin maxis are liberal. Clearly not all, but most. Facts. Facts kills. Yeah, it does. It is time to sell my. Is it time to sell my BTC? It's up to you. It's not financial advice in any sort of a way, but never sell a downtrend. US is selling the Bitcoin they got from Silk Road, is what TJ is saying. In all honesty, we wouldn't have the opportunity to stack XRP if it wasn't for the lawsuit. I love Mr. Gary Gensler. He's going to make us all rich, which is all true. I said this before as well. I don't know if I should shake Gary Gensler's hand, is what I said a long time ago, or essentially, hit him in the face, because Gary Gensler was the one essentially that lowered the price bar for us to be able to accumulate XRP at a much more cheaper price for the longest time. I was talking to one of my neighbors today. She works for Universal Studios. I jokingly told her that the robots are coming for her job. She said they're already here. Fair enough. 10 out of 4. Max, my apologies, Sir Miles. Let's go, Crypto Cowboy. Killer, wish I knew how to make a meme coin. It's very easy to create a meme coin, but I just personally don't want to do it. I've said this before. Creating a meme coin takes 5 seconds. Literally 5 seconds to create a meme coin, but I don't want to do it because I can't. I personally can't be a person that I can't be somebody that dumps on regular people. That's why everything I do is completely free source for the longest time, since day one. I'm someone that likes to help people and not pretty much ask for anything in return. Except actually in some cases, the only thing I do always ask, if you can, is like, comment, share, and retweet. That's the only thing I've ever asked since day one. But in general, it's creating a meme coin takes about 5 seconds. But I don't like doing it because I don't want to be the person that dumps on regular people, even if nobody knows who I am. Even if nobody knows who I am, and I create a meme coin just to dump on people, I can't personally do that. I don't want to do that. So I wouldn't really recommend creating meme coins to anyone. The karma is not good. Transaction fees are essentially both high in gold / premium BTCs, network fees. Absolutely well said. There is a very logical statement in regards to both gold and Bitcoin. Let's go. Well, Brad's announcement sees price increases afterwards. The SEC is working fast. Did you see they have settled with KuCoin per an official statement by KuCoin? Hopefully XRP will be soon too. Facts. Good night, Miles, and all the CMF. Thank you for the news and great live. Get some rest. Let's go, JP. See you tomorrow, but same time as usual. Thompson, see you tomorrow, same time as usual. Thanks, Miles. Stormy, see you tomorrow, same time as usual as well. Thanks for your efforts, Miles. Hope you feel 100% soon. Ronnie, thanks so much, brother. See you tomorrow, brother, same time as usual. Night, Miles, and CMF. Pablo, see you tomorrow, same time as usual as well. As always, Miles, good stuff. Hopefully soon we can talk about new highs. Thank you for your knowledge. Sepro, let's go. See you tomorrow, same time as usual. Great Monday show. Like, share, comment, and take care. All Ray, let's go. See you tomorrow, sometimes as usual. Thanks, Shakira. See you tomorrow, sometimes as usual as well. Good night, Miles, the CMF. Nice live. Carol, let's go. See you tomorrow, sometimes as usual as well. Thanks, Miles. Take care. Good night, CMF. See you tomorrow. Orphan, see you tomorrow, sometimes as usual as well. Good night, Miles and CMF. Thanks for the news and see you tomorrow. All good rest. Free favor, see you tomorrow, sometimes as usual as well. Maybe the AI bot is a fake prototype for money, but they have a real one. Maybe. Let's go, Lena. See you tomorrow, sometimes as usual. Thanks, Miles. Great live as always. I hope you're staying well. And see you same time tomorrow. See you same time tomorrow as well. Autistic. ChatGPT. Facts, Miles. Let's go, Christopher. From the heart, Sir Miles. Thank you for what you do. Good night, Crypto Cowboy. Thanks so much for the kind words. I'll see you tomorrow, sometime as usual. Absolutely brilliant live today as usual. Thank you. Night, everyone. Joe. See you tomorrow, sometime as usual as well. Night, all. Let's go, Susie. See you tomorrow, sometime as usual. Good night, Miles. Thank you for all you do for us. Troy, let's go. See you tomorrow, sometime as usual. Thanks, Miles. Rest up, brother. Yes, definitely. See you tomorrow, same time as usual, commenters. I definitely need to rest because right now I have a very high temperature going on right now. Even though I might seem fine, not fine in any sort of way. My throat is still killing me. My nose is slightly blocked. And I have a very high temperature going on right now. I'm boiling right now, even though it might not show on camera, but I am boiling right now. I will be seeing all of you. I really need to rest as well. And thanks, Legend. Night and day, CMF. Let's go, Shelly. See you tomorrow, same as usual. I'll be seeing all of you tomorrow because, the reason I did the live today as well, because I missed doing the live. I missed all of you. That's why I wanted to do the live today as well, because I just missed everyone. And I'll be seeing everyone tomorrow. Same timing as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you are around the world. See everybody tomorrow, same time as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you're around the world. Feel better soon. Let's go, Stormy. See everybody tomorrow, same time as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you're around the world. Tune in for episode 250 tomorrow on CMF Live, 11:25 p.m. UK time. See everybody tomorrow.